But you know, I don't think it really sank in until he won the Derby very well in Dubai. I mean, had he just won it or a length or two, I certainly wouldn't be sitting here right now. But the manner in which he won it, just thought, you know, well, maybe it isn't such a big a dream. We better just give it a go. You know, you never know. At the end of the day, you know, we'll know much more on Sunday morning. Well, obviously coming out of Dubai now, it's probably 35, 36, 37 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but it was pretty hot. He's a horse that hates a blanket. You know, we just keep the red lights in the boxes. He pulls his blanket off at night. So, and he was actually stabled outdoors right through the winter in Dubai because he used to suffer from respiratory infections. So, when you get into that cold of Chicago, 1 or 2 degrees, it would be very easy for him to push out a long winter coat, which he didn't do. It's maintained, it's dapple, and he looks very good with it, you know, despite being quite cold there and pulling his blanket off every second month. So it's a relief.
He seems like an interesting kind of horse.
He is definitely. He's quite a character. He doesn't get too phased by much. I mean, this morning was his first morning out there. He didn't raise a sweat at all. He trotted around, took everything in. I decided to give him a canter as well, seeing that he had taken everything so well.
Mike? Second Mike. So,
Thank you, Darren.
Michael, we had heard a few days before you shipped into Arlington that you were thinking about going to the Skylight Training Center.
Yes.
They have a synthetic track out there. Can you talk about your decision to come in and stay at Arlington to train up to this point?
I think it was based on the fact that he looked like he'd lost a bit of weight in the flight, according to my assistant Trevor. And to ship again 3 or 4 days later, or possibly even 2 days later, was, in my opinion, just going to be a mistake. So, just thinking on our feet, we're quite comfortable in Arlington. There are not a lot of horses around there, so he wasn't getting too fizzed up or anything like that with a lot of other horses around him. He seemed to settle in very well for the 2 days there in quarantine. So, although it was very kind of him to offer training centre to us, we just felt there and then that we needed to change the game plan. And I think for the better. He's kept up his appetite and his bright demeanour. I suppose, if you look at his form, I don't think he's run with as many horses ever. So it's got to be a concern. He seems to handle the kickback very well and whatever's thrown at him. So I think mentally he should be fine with it. But again, you know, I've watched a few reruns of Kentucky Derbies. There seems to be a definite pattern that develops very early. Within 400 metres, horses seem to be, they could be 20 and 30 metres spread, or 20, 30 lengths spread apart. I think the cream gets settled in the early part of the race very quickly, most of the time. I mean, there have been horses that have come from way back, but unexpectedly, I guess. But I think if he can deal with that first 400 to 600 metres of frenzy, he'll be all right. Well, I think the key thing is to remain open-minded. That's the way I train. You know, I don't decide every single day that it's X, Y, or Z. I think horses really need to tell you in a way what they're feeling. You know, you've got to adjust your plans just because you think that you need to breeze on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And I mean, your horse may not eat up well, he may not look right, you may not just be happy with him looking at the track. I think you have to just keep thinking on your feet as a trainer. So the key thing is to be very open-minded. We're very open-minded about this trip. We're hoping to do it again in the future. The way we've done it this time may not work out. We may need to rethink that. But we'll at least have the beauty of hindsight. Funny enough, there was a study done in South Africa through I think the American Jockey Club, in conjunction with the South African Jockey Club, where they took a bunch of horses and they raced them. They gave them a bonus and they gave them Lasix. Obviously it wasn't hard to work out. You had the bonus and you had the Lasix after about 15 minutes. But then they raced the two together, 2 weeks apart. And the study came out in favourable for Lasix, and that Lasix actually does help leaders. Now, the reason why I didn't use Lasix on this horse because he's not a bleeder. and he's never been given Lasix, and I have no idea how he will perform if he was given Lasix for the first time, and I wasn't prepared to take that chance. If he was a bleeder, I would have given him Lasix, but he's not. Yeah, I know. I mean, I probably found the worst year ever to attempt to try and run in the Kentucky Derby. But as I said, the way he won in Dubai, I'm sure the jury is still out on the horses he beat, but he did it in a manner that gave one confidence that you could put the horse on the plane and hopefully he'll be competitive. As I said, if he had just won, I wouldn't have even bothered. But I mean, he was geared down to win, which was quite impressive. And Christoph Simeon got off and is a good judge, and I worked with him for a while. And he just said we must take our chances. And I mean, okay, he's never won a Kentucky Derby either, or running one. The fact is that the horse must have given him some sort of feel. He's given us a bit of a feel, and you know, at the end of the day, this is just it's a sport. It's a wonderful sport. It's like any other sport. Unless horses take each on, or players, or athletes from other countries, who's ever going to know who's the best and who's got the goods and who hasn't?